This is why I can never go into television.
Oh yes. Here it goes. And we are live. Amazing. Hello. Hello. Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful people that are all out there. We are the MyUmbrella crew. We will go through introductions in a second. As we've just gone live, bang on the clock. Mr. Michael, who you can see it our windows there. We will allow a few people just opportunities to settle down, quickly make a cup of tea, which is what I have to try and do. We do need to move the studio closer to the kitchen. I will point that out. And in no way, shape or form is the Sports Direct mug endorsing that terrible company. But there we go.
Other sports shops are available.
Absolutely. Certainly not cheaper. So how many people do we actually have coming on board at the moment?
I'm just looking at the moment. All I can see is a test card. So if anyone heard any of that, not but
we'll have to bear that this is the first one we've ever. Well, this is the first one that the crew have done. This is probably our 101. This is our 101st actual video podcast. That means Tom are seasoned podcast broadcasty people. Hence the reason why none of us have sworn yet.
And I'll just inform you that we have got 9 people watching.
9 people watching.
Amazing.
There we go. 9 people watching. That's a lot of people to be doing absolutely nothing at 7 o'clock on a Sunday. So it's lovely that you've decided to join us, actually, more than anything, and see what we're doing. It's a real shame that we can't be a bit like Noel's House Party and NTV and do that and switch cameras on you lot, because that would be absolutely fantastic. We'll give it a couple more minutes, a second, just to get people on board. You'll see some beautiful, beautiful faces in all of our windows, and you'll see lots of background noise. Yeah, well, actually, so do bear with us. We are tweaking at the moment. Is it tweaking? Yeah, tweaking. But not to be confused with twerking, which none of us can do on this podcast. Otherwise, we'd have to put out a health and safety disclaimer. And none of us can afford the counselling for any of you for that.
Good evening, afternoon to Shiren Golding.
Evening, afternoon?
Well, it's well the other, isn't it? Evening, it's the evening.
It's very much the evening.
From Brighton.
Excellent.
Kerry, who's in the video, this is streaming from. So.
I want to seem a bit dim on camera, so thanks, guys.
No, it's one thing that you're going to learn with is if there's any opportunity for any of us to embarrass each other, this is going to happen. Oh my word, it's going to happen. So yeah, enjoy this whilst it goes live at the moment. So 3 minutes past 7 at the moment. Do a quick weather check in Weston-super-Mare. I think it's a balmy 18 degrees up there. Oh, I saw a seagull. Hopefully we'll get a catch up with everybody in the Facebook comment stream as well. The weather available, along with other bits and pieces that we're going to find out a little bit more about as well. Honest, this is completely encrypted, but we have a running order. See, and I'd just like to point out none of us have got anybody talking to us ears. We can that all we love, and the only reaction you'll see wrong is that the me who is the third window will fall off. Oh. Getting a compliment. I'm going to change my. We're of podcast, but we into.
Who will be obviously.
Yeah, your figures. Oh.
Must be
What's really nice is I'm carrying Christy as we're literally naturally responders, and you two are having kittens because you have no idea what's going to come out of our mouths next. Anyway, I think actually,
yeah.
There's a knob. other side.
There's several.
Yeah, and then we that. There we go. See, that could have been an outtake. There we are. Imagine that 11 people plus you all recording this and then sticking it on your being frame.
Oh, hi Paul as well.
Hi Paul.
15 people watching now.
15.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
It obviously doesn't allow for catch-up viewing, which would be a combo that will be put into later.
Yeah, you're not going to find. You're definitely not going to find this on Dave. We can absolutely assure you that you can't afford it. Oh. The big man's got it. Well, that's fine because anything that goes wrong is your fault, Mikey. So that's fine. I mean, I can, like I said, I've got no voices in my ears. I can say what I like. Well,
I think we're 6 minutes in.
I think we're 6 minutes. Should we crack on then? Yeah, let's crack on then. I don't think there's any backing music, is there? Have we?
Just the sweet sound of silence.
The sweet sound of silence. Oh, that's
Not The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, what a beautiful track. There we go.
Love that song.
I'll go to that later. So, anyway, a huge welcome to all of you that are watching us as Under the Brolly Live, our first ever video podcast. You may have heard the sweet sounds of mine and Tom's voices through Shout Out Radio previously, our monthly podcast. But this is actually something that we've decided to do as a collective. I believe it came across as what we referred to as a brain fart last week during a meeting, and within a couple of days, all of this amazing stuff's happened. So we probably need to tell you a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why we're doing it. So here's a quick spiel. I think it's probably the best spiel. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
cool. Quick spiel as to who we are, what we do. So we are the MyUmbrella team. This is the Under the Brolly Live podcast, and this is basically aiming to educate and inform the wider community about the LGBT plus identities, sexualities, genders, and kink and fetishes. We are a kink inclusive charity. We're a volunteer-led support group, which are based in Reading and Berkshire for the lesser-known identities, and we, as an entirety, were launched by Reading Pride in 20. And the people that are responsible for that are the person that, if I get this right, I've got to try and make sure that I point properly. So if I point that way, so Christina, who you'll see I'm pointing at here, that's her fault as well. And then if I reach all the way across, it'd be amazing if my arm would go through the window, but it doesn't. But past Mikey, you can give Kerry a quick wave there. These two are the people that are responsible for making this all happen.
Sorry.
The reason why we've done it is the aim is basically for us to educate, support and socialise, and also at the same time signpost those who require the support and advice from other organisations to the relevant services within the LGBT plus community. Now, the reason why we came across doing this is last week, I believe it was Sunday, we were sat down having probably one of the most ridiculous video calls of our lives. Trying to work out how we could do something best to support the LGBT plus community, and it just so happens that we're all sat there talking to each other online, having a real laugh, and it was decided we're going to do this. So in these unprecedented times, we decided that now is even more important for us to stay connected and entertained, to maintain a healthy mind and to stay positive. And it is all about well-being. That is exactly what we're about. None of the people in these windows here that you can see, none of us are trained counsellors whatsoever. However, we have all taken an agreement that when we got together, that if we had an opportunity to share our own experiences and our own stories with people within the community in order to help them make a positive difference to their lives and understand that they're not on their own, then that's what we're going to do. So that's basically what we're doing. So sadly, with nearly all Pride events in 2020 looking as though they're either going to be postponed or cancelled, we know that many of you out there are going to feel that a major part of your social life will be affected this summer. So while we might not be able to run our workshops and attend stores as normal, we decided to bring the next thing. I say push stop on this if you don't know what we're saying. Unlike if we're in front of you at a stall event, you just have to listen to us. So essentially, the Our Next Best Thing is our hard-working volunteers that you can see in our windows here, basically sharing all of our information. You can have with that, and you can give us some questions. You can ask about what we've been doing. You can ask about our own identities, and also it gives you a really good opportunity to get some real support out there from the community to the community. Discuss the LGBT plus identities and issues, share your experiences, talk about our experiences, and interact with you lovely, lovely people. Isn't that nice? Doesn't that sound nice? I like the sound of that. So each of us are going to be sharing a little bit about our own backstory in terms of where we've come from, where we're heading to, if any of us are still on a bit of a journey at the moment. So if you want to get involved, and we would love you to get involved, because it means the more you talk, the less we have to. And if it's the one thing that we like, we love a bit of padding. We do like a bit of padding. So anything we can do to fill the gap that I don't want to be talking in, then please do it. So if you want to get involved, then drop us an email to info, that's info, at myumbrella.org.uk. So we'll be monitoring our mailbox during this entire broadcast. You can tweet us. We can actually tweet. It's amazing. Start your tweet with hashtag Under The Brolly, and we'll be keeping an eye on that stream as well. You can also drop your comments in the live stream, which one is currently monitoring. And we will do our very best to make sure that we get as many of these mentioned and spoken about as possible, and hopefully we'll get lots of questions and we'll do our very best to answer those. You can also find us on all good social media platforms, over here, there and everywhere. I think over there you'll see that that's our Facebooky page, there's the websitey bit, there's the emaily bit, the Twittery bit. Well, there is our shop, but we're going to get to that anyway, because if you want a little bit of MyUmbrella merch that shows off our beautiful, beautiful logo, then you can get involved in that as well. So, I have just spoken for 6 whole minutes. I now can hand over to you and say it's enough of me rabbiting on. I can hand over to you.
I'm going to just do a quick update from the chat.
Go on.
We've got a lot of people struggling with the audio, apparently. If
It's the sound of my voice.
We'll find out if you can let us know. But if you can let us know if it's okay, that'd be great. And it is just one of us. Or I think you can hear this. Then hello to Reading Pride. Kerry, who's Kerry? Oh, okay, Kerry. Martin, Andrew. We've got someone from Bournemouth. We've got.
Give us a shout out. Do tell us where you're actually watching this from. We'd love to know where you're watching this from, especially if the weather's nicer.
So yeah, please let us know if you can hear this. Obviously, if you can't hear us, then you can let us know that you can hear it.
Or if you need one of our team to mute their microphone because it's interfere with everyone else, let us know about that, and we will let people know, and we'll do that. So I can hand that over now.
Yes. So
there you go. See, that was great.
So we've done Thomas Speed bit. The next person is this is Kerry.
Hey, Kerry.
Hi!
Group therapy.
Did you want to say anything about your role with MyUmbrella, just briefly?
I can do, I suppose. I have spent the entire afternoon writing utter rubbish, and then I thought I'd rewrite it 2 minutes before going on air. As you do. So, as these guys have said, I am Kerry, I'm a Gemini, I am a Slytherin, and I'm also the other co-founder of MyUmbrella. Normally spotted around Pride, running around with my trusty little companion, who I thought was going to come and join me tonight, but has obviously run away. I identify as a panromantic asexual, as well as being gender non-binary. My preferred pronouns are she or they. Those that do attend Prides and attend many, many Prides may recognise me as a member of the Pride Pics photography team, as well as MyUmbrella. And I'm very, very lucky enough to have an amazing career of being a frontline NHS student pharmacy technician. So shout out to everyone on the front line with the NHS and other key workers who are doing a fantastic job at the moment, as well as my pharmacy team as well. You're legends, because I believe one of them is in the chat. So we deal with nursing homes, residential homes, and vulnerable adults, which is quite interesting. I'm also a first-year distance learning student studying a photography degree for my sins. A rare occasion.
Does that just mean that your piece of paper is further along the table than other people because it's a distance learning, or is it closer?
It's a long way away, and plus my arms are very, very short. I'm 5 foot naffle. I've got little arms. It's a rare occasion I'm not working or priding. I can be found jumping on a train to any old random place with my camera, or in these times of social distance and social isolation, cross-stitching. If I'm not doing any of that, I am daydreaming and I am playing Joy Division very, very loudly. that's that's pretty much it. And I'm not getting attacked by mosquitoes.
Oh,
Why do I do this outside?
that was what a beautiful end. That was. Oh, that is. Well, for those of you that can play it back for, you need to go back to that bit and play it back. That's something. That really is. Lovely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just a quick update from the chat room-esque thing. I don't know what to call it, live stream chat. Yeah, we've got Kevin.
Kevin, hi Kevin.
Who's from the pup community.
Woo! Hi Kevin.
We've also got Stephen Ikura Lloyd. Hello. And it's very sunny Brighton, we've been told.
Oh,
By Sharon.
very jealous.
Also, they mentioned there does sound like we've got music in the background. That might be our microphone picking up the sound, so I've just reduced it down. Hopefully that helps. If not, let us know.
Yeah.
Chrissy, would you like to give us a
Hey,
bit of
it's your
background
turn now.
So, for those who don't know me, I'm Christy, or officially known as Christina Dearlove. I'm the other co-founder of MyUmbrella. I work closely with Steve on the range of goodies that you see at Prides in the summer, and I'm normally the one that's hiding behind all these Facebook and Twitter feeds. For those that really want to know, I'm 39, I'm M to F trans, in the early stages of transition. My first memories of this being the age of 6. I came out originally in 2004 and decided in June 2017, enough time to live full time. I'm pan romantic, I'm also a lesbian, and I'm happily in a relationship for a year and a half now. Outside of my life, I have lots on. I work also like Kerry on the high street, but I'm not a pharmacist, I'm on the retail side. So that makes me also a key worker. And I'm also a union representative. And outside that, obviously with self-isolation, you can find me napping in the garden, napping in the chair, walking the dog, or hiding with a box of Lego bricks.
Amazing. Oh, we're getting to find out all the lovely things about these people. I love it.
I know, and we have briefly seen the dog, haven't we?
We have briefly seen the dog, yeah, very much, very briefly seen the dog. Moving over to the person that's kind of making this all come together, and I say come together, he's making it come together as they're going to pieces. You'll see him in our third window across wearing those beautiful freestyler headphones, which is Mr. Mikey Russell, who is our producer, come tech monkey, come IT guru, come if everything goes wrong, chances are it's something he's pushed. So let's find out a bit more about Mikey. Mikey, tell the lovely people out there all about you.
You should have written it down. Brilliant.
Yeah, we did get a question in the chat which I can't find now, but someone was asking if Reading Pride has been officially postponed or not this year, but I don't know.
That's a good question.
We know.
Yeah.
It seems like they are going quite quickly
But yeah, I
at the
think it's
moment.
probably. I think the easiest update on that really is just to say that for those of you that are unsure if your recent or your local Pride event is still going on, do check their social media, do check their website. That's probably going to be the best place you can get the information from firsthand. That as the information comes out, it will be the place where they get updated first.
So, hello to Andy, she's got
Andy,
Sophie,
hi Sophie,
Maya, Martin.
Hi Martin.
I think that's all.
I feel like I'm on CBBC. I feel like we should be
and Ian, whose birthday today, he's 5.
He's 5. That's mum, dad, gran and granddad, and George the fish.
And Adam, he says he can't hear Mikey. So everyone's having a good time.
That's ironic.
Yeah.
That's ironic considering his name's Mikey. You need one of these. That's what you need. One of these. So,
cool. So that's all that ticked off.
you haven't told them about us.
No. Oh, yes, that was a bit that was missing, wasn't it?
It is. You haven't actually said anything about us because we do a lot of talking. Because you can probably tell that we've done this before. But I've done lots of talking, so you can start.
So you might notice that we're less than 2 meters apart. That's because we've got the same surname. So we are. I'm Tom. This is Steve. I was always got the wrong around then.
Yeah.
We've been married for almost 3 years. We both identify as asexual. I have a flag here to prove it because that makes it official. There we go.
Oh my god. Oh my up.
Okay.
No, I'm on about.
Right.
Yeah.
All the colours.
We're gonna lose our qualification in asexuality if you get that wrong.
So I identify as asexual, homoromantic asexual, which means that I am romantically see. I'm hearing birds in the background of cherries.
Sorry,
It's alright. It's nature. It's nice to hear it. I've not heard it recently.
I'm not used to nature.
So by day I work for the YMCA, which is quite a cool place to work for, and exactly, and I had that going through my head for the first 2 weeks of working there. It was bad.
You work at a store.
Yes. And I originally came out as gay when I was about 20 or 19, I think, and then within about a year realised that the whole scene wasn't really my sort of thing. So I did a bit more investigating, a bit more research, found out that I did like guys, but I didn't have any kind of sexual attraction to them. So discovered asexuality through various sources online. The Asexuality Archive is the place I discovered it through. So if anyone I joined a dating site which is called Acebook, not Facebook, very difficult to find. And there was precisely one person who was homoromantic who lived in the UK other than me, and they lived in Basingstoke or somewhere beginning with B, and that didn't go anywhere. And then
Basingstoke does go somewhere. It's quite a nice place.
And then about a year after joining, I forgot I had the profile, and then I got a message from this person.
Hello.
Who will fill you in on the rest of the story. But long story short, I've been married to Steve for almost 3 years. We've been together almost 6 years now.
Yeah, see, look, there's the proof.
Yeah, we've got black wedding rings because if you're asexual,
That's the wrong ring.
no, that's the middle finger.
That's the engagement ring.
But yeah, if you're asexual, a black ring is a good little symbol for it. So that's what it's about. So that's a very quick recap of me, and then you can do anything else.
Oh God, where do I start? As Tom has already said, we have been married nearly 3 years. We've been together for pushing 6 years. And before that, this is the bit where I always require a bit of help, because before I discovered who I was as far as my firm identity, I kind of tried to block out a bit more of the other stuff, even though I had an amazing time and it was absolutely fantastic. But I first came out myself as bisexual when I was in school, when I was 15. And I went to a Roman Catholic school, so read into that whatever you like. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I do think that there's something going on up there. It's a bit spiritual and all lovely stuff. But then, after a couple of girlfriends that I'd had prior to that, and then moving into college, I then became a bit more confident in myself about coming out as being bisexual, solid and confident, and actually had my first boyfriend at the age of 16. Ironically, his name was Roger. Please don't laugh. But there we are. who was fantastic, lovely guy, absolutely brilliant. And it kind of continued from there. So I had quite a few, that sounds awful. I didn't have quite a few partners, many of which were... oh my God. So dead. That I went out with. These were sexual relationships, more so on their side than my side. And then as I started to become more confident and aware of myself, the ages of 18, 19, 20, this was kind of continuing, and I was starting to get a little bit of a murmuring in the background that something didn't feel quite right. Mainly on the fact that the way I was speaking about people wasn't the same way that they wanted it to be reciprocated. So what tended to happen with that is I went into a little bit more of a recluse stage, even though I'm very confident, very outspoken, which I am to people's faces. Behind the scenes, it was very much about me trying to deal with something on my own and genuinely trying to struggle with it. So fast forward now to the scene that I was in Bristol, which was amazing. Alternative music scene. I love my rock, I love my pop punk, I love my metal. I'm into all of that, and there is no better community than the alternative community, the actual alternative music community, the alternative music scene, for someone that doesn't feel as though they fit in, because it ticks all the boxes, and they were some of the most fantastic people, and the friends I still have now from that community have still been an amazing rock and support to me as I was almost going through my journey of self-discovery, up to the point where, again, fast forward a few more years, the age of 30, 31 or thereabouts, and I found myself just trying to work out why something wasn't working out with a relationship that I was in at the time with my ex-boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend, thankfully. Not thankfully, very much. Before I met Tom. And this was actually on the back of us having a conversation. And it was something that was said in a really flippant manner that kind of spurred me into fast forwarding into trying to work out why I felt broken, invalid, why things weren't working, which was, and I quote, that I didn't put out enough. And I'm quite happy for people to know that, because genuinely I inhaled that much oxygen, there was nothing left in the room. I mean, the curtains came in, the plastic dafts came out the vase, the whole lot. And that kind of gave me a bit of a kick up the arse to kind of go, right, okay, you need to do something with this. Something's not right. You need to basically try and get yourself sorted and fixed and do something with that. So that relationship ended fairly abruptly. And then I started finding myself searching online, trying to work out how I can go about getting some help. And I'm really lucky that I actually got to meet somebody who, if it wasn't for their profile on Gaydar, of all things, I wouldn't be as I am today. I certainly wouldn't have been made aware of the type of person I was. And that person, actually, funny enough, is actually in the chat room, who is Akura, and I'm going to give him a shout out because he knows he's responsible for all of this, so I blame you. But it was actually through, just as you do, as a single gay man, led in bed, in my flat, flicking through Gaydar, as you were, just trying to see what it was about. And I discovered this profile which talks all about asexuality. And I read intensely this fantastic spiel of this profile that was absolutely pages long, all about what it was and where to go and the resources available. And within 24 hours, my entire life had changed from where it was heading to previously, which was that I was drinking quite a lot. I was quite enjoying drinking a lot, using that as a real coping mechanism. But at the same time, my friends as well being massive supports to me, knowing that I clearly was dealing with something at the time, but they couldn't quite put their finger on it. When I actually discovered what asexuality was, and I started telling people that was how I was identifying, what was absolutely brilliant is all of my friends were actually turning around and saying, yeah, that's been you, that's always been you. We've always known that as you. You've never been anything more or less than that. And I'm really lucky that I had a fantastic group of incredibly trusting friends that were very much on board with knowing the type of individual I was and just basically supported me through this. Then I discovered Facebook as well. I started thinking, right, okay, if I'm going to start identifying as this type of sexuality, then I need to start understanding it a bit more. So I started going on to some dates. I'm on 2 dates, and the second one I'm still with. So I think I'm doing quite well with it. He's not dumped me yet, so it's been quite good. I'm still kind of convincing him that this is a good idea. And that's where I am. I've then been discovered by MyUmbrella on the back of us doing an asexual podcast years ago called Pieces of Ace, where we wanted to do as much as we possibly could to stop people feeling the same way that we felt, and that we're on the same journey. And that's kind of it. I'm still very much on a journey of discovery at the moment. I identify as a homo-romantic asexual, but I do also have a couple of other traits as well, which I've started to discover a little bit more. Certainly over the last couple of years since I've been with MyUmbrella, as I've been kind of exposed to the community. So I do also go by the name of Rocket, which is my pup persona as a border collie, and this is one of the flags that I go by. So in its entirety, I'm a homo-romantic asexual puppy. Tom is my handler. I'm one of the individuals that continues to buck the trend and push the boundaries for people to help understand that just because you've got a kink or fetish doesn't mean that you have to be sexually active or in fact have any form of sexual attraction to anyone at all without the fact you have that kink or fetish. There you go. That's not bad, is it?
Very good.
I didn't swear.
Just a quick update from the chat room. Ikura has put a little smiley face, so that you've been a good.
It's your fault.
You've been the goodest boy.
Thank you.
Donna's pointed out that Reading Pride and Birmingham Pride are on the same day, so it's likely that maybe one or both will probably be shifted. Jonathan from Pride Pick says hello and sends his love.
Hey, Jonathan.
We love Jonathan. Also, people saying they weren't able to hear anything from Mikey. I don't know if Mikey is actually working.
Mikey, you need a Mikey.
So just to recap on that.
Yay!
Give us a shout, chat room, you can hear Mikey. What you missed was that he's the person wearing headphones who does all the important things and has worked with Reading Pride for 10 years and in his spare time works at Hooters. So, chat on here.
It's true, I've seen him.
I think everyone else has been read out. Yeah, I think that's. Oh, and I've just remembered that Kevin from the pup community, I believe, is the Kevin that we met at Reading Pride.
Awesome.
In the pup area.
Yes.
So hello, Kevin from the pup
Hi,
area.
Kevin.
So yes, and I think that's all of us introduced.
Yes.
Just to quickly recap, this episode is kind of an intro one, and obviously to iron out any creases. And then as of next week, we're going to do, next episode, we're going to do, like, I'm used to doing it every week, aren't I?
Yeah, we used to. 100 episodes, we'll be dead.
We'll do a few more sort of specialist ones. Anything anyone wants to add from the crew?
Yes.
We're all good to carry on to...
How about if any of you would like to ask each of us any questions that we've never asked each other before that would be comfortable to answer whilst we're on screen?
I mean, it's like, if we were one-to-one, it wouldn't be...
I should ask Kerry a question about the whole slithering thing, because I've never understood the whole Harry Potter slithering, the other bits. I always thought it was a bit like in the Night Garden, so you were like either a Hufflepuff or a Ninky Nonk or a Slytherin, an Eagle Pickle or whatever it is.
Muggle, my darling.
Yeah, see, now I know that that's an insect.
That's what a non-wizardy person is, isn't it?
Yes.
A non-wizardy person.
See, I'm incredibly... the last time I had anything to do with Harry Potter was when it was still a book, so I don't know much. It's still a book. I know, but what I know about Harry Potter stopped at about 2000, because I didn't know anything about... I've not seen any of the films, I haven't read anything at 5, 6 or 7, I don't know anything about it.
So tell us about the whole slithering thing, what all the different... Because it's a house, isn't it?
Yes.
Right, go on.
Put me on the spot, you.
I'm sure Chrissy can help you. Chrissy's a non-slithery or whatever it is.
Chrissy's a Hufflepuff.
Right. Okay.
I got told that I'd be a Hufflepuff. I don't know if that makes any sense.
You're a sugar puff, love.
I don't know how you determined, but someone said to me that I would be a Hufflepuff. Yeah.
I don't know what this is. You have to do one of those online things.
It's a sorting hat. I don't know much about this, but I think you put on a big hat, and then the hat decides which house that you're in. Also, hi to Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Sorry, just someone coming in.
If anyone in the chat room wants to tell us what the whole Hufflepuffy, snithery, lithery Thing is, do tell us, because we need help.
Yeah. So anyway, LGBT related.
Yeah, let's.
Any questions from anyone?
Would it be great if you had an LGBT plus sorting hat?
Oh my words!
Wow,
Amazing.
it would have to be a rainbow hat.
That's kind of what we're like doing. We are the LGBT plus sorting hat.
I guarantee.
We won't tell you what you are. We'll just give you all the tools in a lovely book, and you can go off and find out for yourself.
If you had an LGBT sorting hat, I guarantee it'd be one of those knitted ones that has the little dangly bits on the side.
Oh. And then you'll sit there like Carrie going, not asexual, not asexual. Oh!
Okay, what we got?
Hello.
Go on, Mikey. What was the question?
Oh my god, I'm a Hufflepuff. That is the cutest thing.
Oh,
Adorable.
Oh, Jackson's here. Hi, Jackson. Jackson's
That is just so cute.
Just supporters. A Hufflepuff. That is
I like that.
That's adorable.
Emily, lovely. Oh, that is a very good question. What a lovely idea. I think one of the best ways to answer that really is if you think about if we were to rewind where we've come from now back 10 years, what we've actually moved forward with and how far we've got. And a really good example of that, actually, and I'm going to kind of relate to it, is the fact that we produce a guide to LGBT+, which has got loads of different flags in it, and it's got loads of different identities, loads of different sexualities, but over the couple of years that this is actually being produced, we've actually found that the identities, the genders, the sexualities, the kinks and the fetishes have actually grown because more people are more confident and more outgoing and are more better informed about being more confident in themselves because it's becoming more accepting and that people are aware of it and that awareness is being raised and that people are more confident to be able to sit down and talk about it. And I think they start to explore their own sexualities and identities and genders and not feel as though that they have been put into a situation within society which they're not comfortable with, which actually can do some fairly significant damage to their mental well-being and their mental health. So in terms of where we think it's going to happen, I mean, certainly where I think it's going to move forward in the next 10 years, and I'm going to make damn sure I'm part of the movement that's going to make it happen, I want to continue to see people being more comfortable and more confident about being themselves and talking with more confidence about who they're attracted to and why they're attracted to them. And what I want to see on the back of it is I want to see more people understanding that and being open to the fact that you don't have to be you don't have to conform, because it shouldn't really be about having to conform unless it's something significant like breaking the law. We all understand that you can't do certain things that are against the law because of significant damage it can cause to the community or society or to other people. However, if you find yourself in a position where you don't feel that is who you are as an individual, but there is somewhere else where you would better identify as, and it's better for you as far as your longer term mental health, well-being and stability, and that would benefit you in the long term, then that's what you need to do, and you need to be looking at understanding and being part of that journey and bringing people on board with that. And as part of MyUmbrella LGBT+, we are absolutely right next to you every single step of the way. So as far as where we want to see it move in the next 10 years, from my perspective, I want to still see it continue to grow, and I want Pride to get bigger, and I want them to get louder, and I want our straight allies and our trans allies to be as much a part of our Pride events alongside the LGBT plus community as everybody else is, because without people bridging that gap between the LGBT plus community and those that don't understand the reason why it's so significantly important that we hold Pride events in order to help and assist people understand why it's important people should have equality and diversity throughout society, then that's what we want to do. So that's my bit. There we are.
Just to recap, I don't know if everyone heard the question from Mikey, because I think some people are still struggling with the microphone. The question was, where do we all think the LGBTQ plus community will be in 10 years' time, considering how well acceptance has developed in little as 5 years? So, Kerry or Christy or Mikey, anyone want to otherwise, I've got a couple of predictions for 2030 otherwise.
Oh my God. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So, wow, that sounds quite far ahead, doesn't it, 2030?
It sounds terrifyingly far ahead.
That means that's the future too, it'll be past. Except it is now, actually, really anyway, isn't it?
Is it?
So, I'd say in 10 years' time, sorry, my thing's playing out, hang on. I'd like to think that in 10 years' time, we wouldn't have identities. And I think it will actually start to slow down a little bit, because at the moment we seem to be in a bit of a patch of people of our generation really kind of embracing sexuality and their gender in a different way to before. I think once we kind of get past the growth of the identities, it will start to slow down a bit. But that's a good thing, because it means people are going to be able to be brought up around other people who have obscure identities, so people who are parents who are asexual, pansexual, whatever, who are bringing up kids, and it will become as normal as someone who was maybe like gay in the 90s or trans in the noughties. It'll be recognised more. And also, I think that the whole thing about there being reason for pride and stuff like that, I think it's still going to be a core thing. There will be more people there who are not LGBT, who are there to support the community. Maybe families as well. And also, I think by that point, maybe if we're really lucky, the Gender Recognition Act might actually have been done. Quite nice.
We need to get on with that. You really do. Just a bit. It's like the national lottery, honestly. It's just going to turn into a scratch card soon.
So yeah, does anyone else want to?
Yeah, anyone chipping on that?
No, nothing to add from here.
Will do.
Absolutely amazing.
Brilliant. Let us know if you can hear Mikey, because we haven't actually got any confirmation that people can hear him.
I have just got a message to say, is Mikey on mute? And this is on WhatsApp.
Just a quick update from the chat room, or the room of chat. We have got, Jackson said, I found myself much more confident after I met other people in the community, which is true. If you are a minority sexuality of any kind or gender, or even if you're just a very supportive ally, being around other people who are in the same mindset will be a massive boost to your confidence as a person and as your identity. So if you haven't already, I think one thing we can always recommend is to come along to Pride. And if you're a little bit nervous, a bit shy, come and find our stall, because we usually have a little quiet. Stop it.
Anyone spot that our stall there? There we are. Okay.
We'll have a little quiet area. We'll have a little chill out bit, which has usually got cake. And one time it actually had quite a large dog, didn't it?
A huge dog.
And occasionally you do get the old. One time we went to the Reading Pride and there was a cat there. So
there was a cat.
Oh, he was the cutest.
He was. It was amazing.
So still no sign from Mikey apparently.
Yeah.
So,
sorry about the sirens, guys. It's right there. All right. Hi, Mum.
Mikey, can you unplug your headphones? Because I'm wondering if maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
Ooh, there we are. Oh.
What's that got to do with anything?
Nobody can see you.
Yeah. How does that work?
Oh, he said he's not on the mic. Yeah, and also Sharon says it's essential to keep going, especially for LGBTQ people in their country. I guess that's the whole pride.
Yes, very much.
So yeah, if anyone has got anything else to add of what they might think the pride is, or the LGBTQ world of 2030 will be like, then please let us know. Anyone, do you want to quickly read out that second question we've got as well?
Oh, is there a second one? Sorry, I was
doing
doing some.
We have got another question as well, but please feel free to ask some of yourselves.
Was it on the Facebook page?
Yes.
Amazing.
In the meantime, a brief interlude. So talk about yourself. What have you got on your back there, Kerry? On your chair?
A blanket, because I'm sat outside and it's cold.
Oh no, I meant on your chair.
Oh.
Hey, there it is.
And Chrissy is sporting the wall hanging version of the trans flag.
Available from any printers.
Chrissy, do you know you've got that flag upside down?
Really?
You behave. Oh my word.
So just a quick recap as well. We've had highs of 18 people watching at any one point.
Oh my goodness.
Which is actually pretty good for our first episode. So we'll try and iron out the creases for the next episode, and it will be
slightly less professional.
Aww.
It will be even more professional.
I thought we were doing so well.
I think we're doing quite well. Yes, we can hear you, Mikey. We can very much hear you.
We can, it's just everyone else that's having issues.
If anyone's wondering what Under the Brolly is normally, just to recap as well, we normally do a monthly show on Shout Out Radio, LGBT Radio in Bristol, which is available online. But because of the whole situation, we thought it would be a bit more face-to-face. So if you follow the Shout Out Radio page and follow my Umbrella page, you can hear about the shows as they come out in the future. But for the time being, we're going to be doing these shows instead to give it a bit more face-to-face interaction. Which is nice.
Which is nice.
What's the other question?
So our second question that we've also got from Emily is, why are there some people who, I just feel like I'm on points of view. Isn't it a bit like that? My other
We'll call you
question
Terry.
Yeah, why is Jonathan Ross on the TV now? My other question is, why are there some people who believe that asexuals don't belong under the LGBTQ plus umbrella? Keep up the amazing work you do, purple heart kisses. There we are. That's a really good one. And actually, I want to throw it out to someone.
Yeah, I'm wondering if any asexuals or non-asexuals might want to.
That's a really good one, because I think that we're really biased. Would you leave those alone?
Sorry, I've got Domino's cookies here.
Yeah, stop. There you go. So from a non-asexual standpoint, would any of the non-asexuals within our beautiful, wonderful MyUmbrella committee like to answer the question? I'll repeat the question again because it sounds quite good, and I've been rambling.
So Jeremy Clarkson
on Newsnight. Could you imagine? The other question was, why are there some people who believe that asexuals don't belong under the LGBTQ plus umbrella? So, out to the floor. Why? Why do people think that they belong under the umbrella?
Yes. So, if anyone who didn't hear Mikey, he was saying that some people think that the trans is not included in the Pride movement, which is true. There is a lot of transphobia within the community, sadly, as is a lot of aphobia or aphobia.
Apparently, I think it kind of boils down, and I've heard a lot about this, and I'll be honest, I've done absolutely no research on this whatsoever, being an asexual man. However, regardless of who you choose to sleep with, or who you're attracted to, or who you have sex with, or who you don't have sex with, or the fact that you don't have sex, the fact that you are a minority within a minority within society would lead to believe that something somewhere needs to give as far as understanding and education and awareness, so that the more people that understand the reason why, and I'll be honest, we're different, okay? We all have the same bones, we all have the same skin, okay? But just because who we're attracted to, who we sleep with, who we doesn't sleep with, should make such a significant difference to the reason why people shouldn't be included in essentially what is an event to celebrate people being different, but people all at the same time celebrating that difference and being equal and celebrating diversity, shouldn't have any reason for people to cause to segregate them within the community. There is no excuse for individuals within today's society to be pushed out, essentially, of being welcome within a welcoming and wholesome and accepting environment. And if there are people out there that genuinely struggle to understand why people should be treated equally, then they need to have a very, very long conversation with themselves to better understand how they were brought up and how they were educated.
Not there, Steve.
Sorry? Hello?
Okay.
Am I still there? Are we still there?
Hello.
I think we've lost Kerry.
Kerry will be right back after these short messages. I'm not quite sure what Kerry was saying, actually. Let me see if I can get out. Oh, she's back. She's back.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, Kerry.
My internet dipped. Oh gosh, hang on.
Slight technical issues.
It's all right. It wouldn't be a podcast without one. Yeah, you're still there, Kerry. We can see you dancing. It's beautiful. What was it you were saying? Did you say something?
I said you were breaking up, but it was my internet that was breaking up.
Okay, well, that's fine then. Okay.
I was going to just quickly say on the back of this question, the areas of which I've experienced aphobia or kind of negativity towards being asexual have generally seemed to have been either places that are very overtly, for example, very overtly gay places, like, for example, a nightclub which is predominantly gay men, as opposed to it being, different sexualities, or places where you get a lot of older people who maybe experienced only lesbian, gay, and bi, and are still yet to experience even trans stuff, which thankfully is getting less and less.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even though in general LGBT people are open-minded and very understanding of people's differences, in the same way in the straight community you've got people who aren't open to being people who are gay or bi or lesbian or whatever. There will be people in the LGBT community who maybe aren't as open to it, and everyone's different. But I think if you were to go to an event where it's more focused on, say, like pansexual, even like trans and bi stuff, you get a bit more depth and breadth of people being represented there. So I think nowadays, the way it's going, we seem to be getting a lot more pride. So it's got more flags, more identities. People are coming out more. You've got people like Sam Smith and who's the other person who came out recently? Is I can't remember who it was. There's a singer, female singer. I can't remember her name.
Miley Cyrus.
Was it Miley Cyrus?
Wow.
Someone. But Sam Smith came out as non-binary, or gender fluid, I think. And then I think it was Miley Cyrus. Someone else came out as pan. And that's the sort of thing we want, because it will become more mainstream. But until then, it seems to be people's first reaction is a bit negative, sadly. But I think that'll get better. And the more people do stuff like this and get involved with prides, the better, really. So, just a quick update from the chat room. Steve said about the prides and the community of the future, has said, I think we can't take it for granted that things we get automatically. We can't take it for granted that things will automatically get better over time. There's been a lot of backlash recently against trans rights in particular, so we always need to be prepared to fight for our community and make sure none of us are left behind, which is very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Jackson says that they've got 5 different flags hanging all around them, so you can have more than one identity flag.
Very much.
Easily can. And then Jackson's also said this is why I really want to do an ace documentary, purely because people don't understand it much. Because there is an ace documentary on Netflix, or there was anyway, and it actually isn't quite as positive as you would think it would be. Mm. Because it starts out, it basically tells the tale of David J, who set up the Asexuality Forum, and then the bulk of the documentary is really positive, and then there's a little 5 minutes at the end where they kind of catch up with him a year after they film the first bit, and he seems a little bit deflated about it all, and it's a bit difficult. So it goes from being really positive, really up, to actually it's not as easy as people might have expected it to be. So we need something a bit more.
However, there is an amazing resource on YouTube, which is our Pieces of Ace podcast from years ago. Fantastic resource with some amazing links. There are also some other wonderful documentaries and also some other different some other different resources that have been out and about there. Myself and Tom have been featured in documentaries, in talk shows, and on different radio programs where we talk about being in an asexual relationship, being an asexual couple, being an asexual marriage, but also pushing the boundaries out there for people to better understand what it's like to be within a relationship where we're not sexually attracted to each other, but romantically attracted to each other, and what that means as far as the community is concerned, and where there may be some discrimination within the minority of a minority, but also how positive the community is, about the fact that the community itself is very much embracing the differences and the new identities and the sexualities that are being more discovered out there. And when I say being discovered, it's more as a case of where someone doesn't feel as though identifying with a particular gender or sexuality or identity is 100% how they feel, but there are certain areas of other genders, identities and sexualities which they're more comfortable with. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. In the same way that you would wear a hat with a jacket with a pair of trousers, but then you suddenly realise that actually that hat wouldn't match the trousers, so you decide to change it. It's the same sort of way that how you are best wanting people to understand you and what best fits you is how you want to label yourself. And that's not saying that everyone has to be put into a box and everyone has to have a label. Everybody wants to feel as though they belong, and everybody wants to feel valid, and everybody wants to be valued. And if by helping individuals to understand where they fit within a particular gender or identity or sexuality or on a spectrum, and people make up their own decision. That's not down to people to point them in the direction or we'll put someone into a box in the same way that we say that someone's male, someone's female, someone's non-binary. It's a personal choice for that individual. It's very personal, and at the same time, it should be respected.
Just a quick update from the chat room. Andrew has built on what you said actually. Same boat. Also, we're all the same but different, and we all have the right to be who we are and love who we want to love. More visible allies are needed. I'm doing my best. Keep smiling.
Oh, amazing. Well, actually, that leads really nicely onto the fact that behind us on our... I'm just going to wheel you to one side slightly so that you can kind of see this. So here, this beautiful, beautiful display of all these wonderful different people on our wonderful banner, our wonderful logo, displays beautifully the fact that underneath here it says that I am more than LGBT. And just above that, we have had conversations previously in the past and also quite recently on one of our Facebook messages, which was the reason why we are called MyUmbrella LGBT+, and why we're not called MyUmbrella LGBTIQA+, etc., 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 etc. The reason why we, after much deliberation and much conversation, we are LGBT+, is because as far as, and as much as we would love to be able to include absolutely every single identity, gender, sexuality, etc., within our acronym of LGBT, it would be absolutely impossible for us to be able to continue to do that for everybody with all of the identities that are coming out. But the one thing that we are so positive about, and the reason why I use the word positive, is because we want people to understand that there is more than LGBT, and that's the reason why we say LGBT+. Plus in itself as an entity is a positive word, and we want people to understand that. To include everybody under the umbrella of LGBT+ is what we are trying to achieve. Now, we have conversations with lots of people at Pride events where we speak about, would you like to know about what we do more of? And they say, oh, no, it's got nothing to do with me, I'm straight.